What's up, everyone? Happy Friday. We're back with another episode of the SEO Video Show. Today's topics, we'll be talking about technical SEO and semantic site architecture with a very special guest today, Nick Ranger. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, Ahrefs.com/AWT. How's everyone doing today? Be sure to say hi in the live chat when you join. Let me know where you're watching from. Stefan, my man, welcome back every week. Love it. What's up, everyone? Today's topics, we'll be talking about technical SEO and semantic site architecture with a very special guest today, Nick Ranger of Dijon Marketing. Be sure to say hi in the live chat and let me know where you're watching from. We're still waiting for our guest in the back. Stream Elements. Always visit the stream. Is something on? What's up, Stream Elements? Which bot is running? Today's topics, we'll be talking about technical SEO and semantic site architecture with a very special guest today, Nick Ranger of Dijon Marketing. Don't forget to visit today's sponsor, Ahrefs.com/AWT. Oh yeah. One of my favorite beats on there. Yeah. See a few of you out there. Don't be shy. Say hi. We got about 5 more minutes to go. We're still waiting for our guests in the back. Today's topics, we'll be talking about technical SEO and semantic site architecture with a very special guest, Nick Ranger. Today's sponsor is Ahrefs.com/AWT. Oh, I see Nick in the back. Nick, can you hear me? Nick, can you hear me? Let's see. I don't think she can hear me. Nick, can you hear me? Maybe not. I can hear you. Happy Veterans Day, Ernesto, my man. Hi, Nick. Can you hear me?
I can't hear anything at the moment.
Oh,
Is that
hear me?
normal?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. I could hear you. I could hear you. We can hear you. We can hear
open
you.
the settings. Right, camera, integrated camera, default.
We can hear you.
Yep.
Oh yeah, today's topic, we'll be talking about technical SEO and semantic site architecture with a very special guest, Nick Ranger. She's in the back right now. We're still working on her trying to hear us. We can hear her, right guys?
Should be coming through there.
got about 3 more minutes to go. Today's topic, we'll be talking about technical SEO and semantic site architecture with our very special guest, Nick Ranger. Can you hear us okay? We can hear you. Let's see. Check. 1 2 1 2. Yeah, so everyone can hear. We can hear you.
I can't hear anything.
Let's see. Try to reset. Let's see. Try. Well, let me see. If she can't hear us, what can that be? Audio. Check 1 2 1 2. Can you hear us? No. Try different headphones. All right, guys. We got about 1 minute and 30 seconds to go. We're still trying to get Nick to hear us. She can't hear us, but we can hear her.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
All right, that is work.
Oh, there. That works now?
Somehow.
That works?
Yeah.
All right. We got everything working just in time. We got about 1 more minute to go, guys. If you got any shouts out, put them in the live chat. Today we'll be talking about technical SEO and semantic site architecture with a very special guest today, Nick Ranger of Dijon Marketing. Don't forget to today's Spencer. Ahrefs.com/AWC. Okay, guys, we got less than 1 minute to go, so I'm gonna go ahead and start getting things ready here. Nick, how you doing? You look good. I can hear you well.
I'm doing great.
Love
Love
it.
the music.
Love it. All right. So I'm gonna introduce you in about 8 minutes after 12 my time. I'm gonna go over a few videos in the very beginning, and then I'll have you jump in.
Sounds awesome.
All right.
To me dancing.
All right, guys, we got about 30 seconds to go. We have Greg. What's up, my man? Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah. Hey, time to get it started, no delay, let's work. Wanna see you be an SEO expert. Paul Andre De Vera, steady dropping knowledge. Over 15 years in the game, so he knows all about it. Master the art of SEO, you will be amazed. Time to get your brand off page to on page. Dropping knowledge, legendary for sure. Whether you're just getting started or self-employed entrepreneur. Yeah, let's go. Subscribe to the SEO video show. Hey.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the SEO video show where SEO is alive and fun. My name is Paul Andre De Vera, aka Dre, and I curate SEO videos released in the past week into about 1 minute clips. My favorite part of the show is when I get to introduce my guest, and my guest today is a senior technical SEO specialist at Dijon Marketing, Nick Ranger. Before we get started, let's say what's up to everyone in this chat. I see Carol, Greg, Stefan, Ernesto, Kobe, Anastasia, Lucy, Victor. Welcome everyone. How are you doing? Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Now let's get on with the show.
This is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. What kind of fruit do SEOs like best? Low hanging.
Google just clarified in the sitemap documentation for localized versions that the child elements don't count toward the total number of URLs in the sitemap file. Google also clarified that it's okay to use JavaScript to insert crawlable links into pages. For more info, see the link in the description below. How to set your site name. for mobile search by John Lincoln. Let's check this one out.
Google came out with a new thing you can do for mobile search. You can now indicate your preferred site name using structured data. Site names are currently available for mobile Google search results in English, French, Japanese, and German. And they're also going to be rolling out to additional languages over the next few months. Now, Google currently relies on a variety of different sources to help determine what your site name is in mobile search. But if you want to indicate your preferred site name, you can do that. Basically, you can use structured data on your homepage to tell Google what the site name should be. And if you want more information on how to do this, check out the site name documentation. But also, I'm going to pull up an example for you on the screen. Here you can see what the site name documentation looks like and what you need to do with the structured data so that you can have this showing up correctly in mobile search for your site name. Now, also, when Google came out with this blog post, they also recommended revisiting the documentation for favicons. That's going to allow you to have a little favicon with your logo, smiley face, whatever you want. Yes, you should be using structured data to specify your site name in Google mobile search and probably putting a favicon on your website as well. That's an action item for you.
We have more technical SEO stuff for you just in a few minutes. Okay, the October spam update crushed so many websites. Why? Marie Haynes explains why. Let's check it out.
So here's what I think happened with the spam update. Google told us a couple of years ago about something that they call spam brain. It's AI, it's a machine learning system that identifies content that goes against Google's guidelines on spam. I think that the machine learning system just got significantly better. Google's made huge advances in machine learning over the last couple of years. I've been talking about how Google's How Search Works documentation tells us that they use machine learning and interaction data to determine which content is relevant and helpful to searchers. Machine learning is a big deal. The spam guidelines have not changed. You can get dinged for cloaking, which is showing Googlebot different info than searchers, hidden text, keyword stuffing. Most of the sites that I saw that were affected by this update, I think you were likely affected because of link spam. Not all of you, though. A few had thin affiliate content, which is covered in these guidelines. Some had copied content, and others had user-generated spam. There was one that submitted that was a forum, and there was user-generated spam, which is described in Google's link spam documentation.
Did you use any spam tools, link tools? Have you been using Fivvr links? Has your rankings dropped? Let me know in the description below. I'm curious if this is what's happening out there. Okay, here's a strategy on how to get high quality backlinks by Chris Penn. Let's check this one out.
15 tips for improving your email marketing. Write an email that people want to read. Do your deliverability protocols. Send from a recognizable name. Send at the same time every week. Again, nothing wrong, but nothing special. Something special would be, hey, try putting a gigantic unsubscribe button in your email at the very top so that people can't miss it. That's different. That's unique. That's special, right? So make special stuff. My former boss and friend Todd Jeffrin used to say, in public relations, which has a very significant overlap with SEO, there's three things you can be: first, best, or only. The first is something, the best is something, or the only person that does something, if you want to get PR. The same is true with SEO, with backlinks. First, best, only. If you got the news first, you'll get links. If you got the best quality stuff, you'll get links. And if you're the only place to get something, you'll get links. But you've got to be at least one of those things. Ideally, two out of three. Be the first and the only at something, and that will get you the links from the higher authority sites that you want.
And if you need a tool to check the quality of your backlinks, check out Ahrefs, our sponsor for today. Want a free shirt? Type in I love SEO and send me an email at dre@seo.video and you'll get a free Ahrefs t-shirt. Matt Singer shares how to convince a client to trust you. Let's check this one out.
There's a lot of scammers in the world of SEO. And when I say scammers, what I mean is there's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, promising things they can't deliver. The key thing is, again, if you're a solid, reputable company and you can go and make some guarantees, as an example, that will generally help put people to ease, right? Now, to do that sort of thing, you probably need some solid contracts and so on, right? But again, if you can make a solid contract with a client saying you pay us $5,000 a month, if we don't make you those 60 grand extra income by the end of the year, you know, we're gonna refund you whatever you're short. If you can make a guarantee like that, you definitely make it easier for a client to be a client.
I've done something similar where I've structured the contract into like 3 different payments where I had goals to hit. I mean, it's kind of hard if you want to refund the whole contract agreement. But all right, you know who's familiar with working with clients? My guest today. But before we introduce our guest, here is our word from our sponsor. Are you sick of your competitors outranking you in the search results? Your solution is Ahrefs Webmaster Tools, and it's free $99. This isn't one of your 14-day free trial offers. Instead, it's a super powerful tool that'll do a full website audit for you and keep working for you for free. It'll scan your site and prioritize precisely what you need to fix and improve for your search results. Visit ahrefs.com webmaster-tools for this free tool. Find the link below, and by checking our sponsors, you support this show. Now let's introduce our guest. Nick is a senior technical SEO and highly respected industry speaker. She oversees digital strategy, digital analysis, content, and site architecture for large companies and local businesses. She is an electric violinist, illustrator, rank ranger, brand ambassador, co-director of the SEO Collective Australia. She is a contributing author in the SEO in 2022 book and the upcoming SEO 2023 book. Please welcome the senior technical SEO specialist at Digital Marketing, Nick Ranger. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. This is a good soundbite for you. Honestly, if you want to ignore the caffeine, watch this show because I am 100% so much more pumped up. Awesome.
Love it, love it. Everyone give a round of applause to Nick. All right, Nick, I'm going to get right to it. I mean, this is the first question I ask all my SEO professionals that come on here in 1 minute or less. How does Nick get ranking on page 1 of Google?
First, I want to really understand what actually motivates a click. And for me to be able to do that, I love to look at Search Console data, look at Google Analytics data, and what we build from that is CTR models. Now, of course, I work with the absolutely legendary Dan Petrovich, and with working with him, now I get to use the full gamut of suite of tools with Algorithmic. Now with this one, all of these things we'll be able to look at basically like how we can be able to project out what garners a click, what would happen if we were to do specific actions to be able to increase the click-through rate, if we were to just like increase in ranks for just one position. What if we were to rank number 1 for absolutely every commercially valuable term? Because that's really a good idea to get like the scope of what we can be able to do. And of course, if we know the conversion rate, if we know the average transactional value per lead, then we can be able to also look at profit and forecasting projected profit, which is really, really interesting, especially when it comes to budgeting and for getting things across the line and building business case. The thing that I really love that this does is that it will split out the data into 2 columns. It will look at things that have actually earned a click statistically. Mm-hmm. So like maybe this query like is a bit of an outlier. Like generally we would understand that this click-through rate would maybe get about 6%. But this particular query at this particular average rank is actually earning 14%. Now, why is that? Now, we can learn from that. We can extrapolate these keywords. We can be able to understand what is happening on those pages, how they've been internally linked, if there's any particular structured data, if there's any backlinks pointing to those things, how how the content is being written, so we can understand what is interacting with the audience successfully.
Love it. Love it. That was maybe a little more than a minute, but I got it in there. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, we may want, I want to actually talk about that a little more, but before that, let me rewind this real quick. Hold on. Nick, take us way back in time. Tell us about how you first got into SEO.
Oh boy. It was by absolute fluke. And I love this question because everybody has their own unique twist and turn to this to this journey, this pathway. So I used to be a civil engineer, and then I became a professional musician. Something that my parents really didn't quite understand at the time. But for a long time, I really wanted to make it in the creative industries. And it's a really, really hard industry to break into. Which honestly, like, I work just as hard as I do now, but in the creative industry, and look at the traction. So it's a hard game. So anyone that's in it successful, they are not sleeping on that job. But I knew Karan Rao, or Kaz Rao, who was the senior developer at Predictor. And they said, like, oh, like, I reckon you've got a technical mind, like, you'd be probably good at this. Do you want to just get an intern position and just sort of see how you go? Well, the better part of 10 years have passed from that, and I just absolutely fell in love with it. It was something that I found that I would, like, while going to the bathroom on my breaks, I'd be reading up articles about, like, what I was doing, what I was trying to do. I just found that the more that I started investing in this, the more that it started to reward me with nice, like, flowcharts of continued ideas. And I really wanted to be able to answer, like, some really difficult questions, which was, again, all the way back then, when I was just starting to write articles. What were making these articles successful? How were they written? How was Google presenting, like, with the top 10 blue links? Why was it these pages earning these positions? And from there, that's where the love started to come in. That's where the interest started to come in. And then, of course, naturally, I want to know how it works. So that's why I went technical. But it's all over SEO, baby.
Love it. Okay, so what part? So you kind of went into, like, what made you interested. So, like, was it just being able to solve those problems? I mean, what else? What made you interested in SEO?
Oh, just the fact that I've got a very curious mind, and I think it was just something that it was, like, the more that I understood it, the more that I see websites as, like, puzzles. And every single website is a different puzzle to be solved. And it's, like, got all these idiosyncrasies. Now, I like to, like, I even do this when I'm mapping out a new strategy. Like, I'll almost create, like, a flow chart of all these different things that I think is going to be really, really important for that. You know, whether it be a publisher, whether it be a gambling site, whether it be, like, a massive e-com website, whether it be a marketplace, like, all these different types of sites have their own playbook. And the more that you understand the way that things connect to each other and things work, you know, to the browser, from the crawler, all the way to, like, how users are interacting with the site, the more that you can kind of get a sense of, like, all right, these are the rules for this. This is what motivates the clicks for this. Now, my job is to take all these very difficult concepts and explain them simply to whoever I need to, and get these key things done. If I can get these key projects done, that's where I know I'm going to get the ROI.
Love that. Okay, now tell us, like, how'd you actually learn it then? How'd you learn SEO?
Oh, like everyone else, trial and error. You've got to test stuff.
Yeah.
Like I've got this whole thing, like, you've heard, like, you know, work smarter, not harder. I take a bit of a different approach. I work as hard as I can if I don't feel like I can be smart about it. And if until I get to the process where, okay, like, I've worked so hard at this thing and I understand a lot more about it, now I can be able to go back and refine and work smarter about it. So that's kind of like my process, which is just throw myself 100% into it. If I don't understand it, my other thing is, like, be very comfortable with your own vulnerability. Because if you can ask questions from people, you're going to be able to find out a lot more information. And then you go back, you test it, you see whether it works, and then you reiterate your things. I think that's been a really useful part of my growth and my journey, because the only reason why I got into webinars. The only reason why I even got into speaking was because it was the fastest leeway for me to be in the same room of some of the most brightest people on the planet with SEO. And I was so excited to be able to ask them all the questions that I had and start to like build upon my knowledge and start to use this as like little grip hooks to be able to monkey bar my way around it, to start to understand the world of it.
Love that. So so you mentioned like, so you're around all these people. I mean, so were there anyone in particular that you actually followed back then when you started out, and what were some of your resources?
Oh man, I have to absolutely shout out Nava Hopkins, who is an amazing paid search media specialist. She was the one all the way back in 2018 who really encouraged me to go down this pathway and to just continue that thread of curiosity by asking people. I really attribute a lot of the things that I do from that initial catalyst of that encouragement and that idea. It was at Search Marketing Summit in Sydney back in 2018, and that was when Barry Smith decided, like, I'm going to get a lot of female SEOs to come in and be able to speak. But that experience introduced me to Cindy Crum. It introduced me to Nava. It introduced me to Olga Adrienko, to Ashley, then Ward now. She's married. Segura. to Cassie, to Nicola, to Brittany Mueller, to Jenny Halaz. And I just remember being asked to sit at the table because I was that kid in the back who was just like, my hand was up for everything and just like, I see what you're doing here, but like, how does it fit in with here? And I think from just being kind of annoying, that's what got me attention. But I got invited to the table because, again, I was just so hungry to learn and was so excited to be in the same room of these really, really incredible minds. So I became friends with these people, and I'm so grateful for that inclusion into, their little posse at that moment, because it started to introduce me to how wonderful the SEO community is and how open it is to be able to just share ideas and be able to hypothesize with one another, and to go back to test, to give that feedback, and then to do that. Like, we do it here in Melbourne with SEO Collective. We run this with a bunch of different board members, but notably Peter Mead and Peter Machinkovich, here in Melbourne. And it's the same ethos, the same thing that I remember all the way back then that was so incredibly integral for me. I wanted to be able to provide that space and provide that community and provide that feedback for people to be able to come and be able to learn. And most importantly, just ask really dumb questions, because if you don't ask questions, you're never going to find out.
Love that. So, can you tell more about the SEO Collective? That's something, there's an actual show too, right? You actually put together a show for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an in-person event. It runs generally on the first Tuesday of the month, unless we have a public holiday. And we live stream it. So the quality is, as you can, the quality is not great. We're working on it, but the core ethos is there. And the thing that I love so much about the community is that we have some incredibly active participants. We get anywhere from 20 to 50 people every month, and it will just be a rapid fire of questions from the guests to the keynote, and from the keynote to the guests. So it's almost like it's almost like we're presenting ideas in front of you, and I'm giving you a framework here to be able to think about. But it's now just like a topic, and now it's open season for questions. And that's the kind of ethos that I think is the most interesting. And whether you understand it or not, you're getting exposed to the full gamut. And we have some incredibly technical SEOs that come along to those events. And it just creates this environment, this catalyst of like little seeds of ideas being planted in all these young SEOs' minds. And I'm most proud of that.
Love that. Love that. Okay, I want to get into some of the topics that we want to chat about today, but you've actually, and if anyone has any questions, you want to please ask them in the live chat and I will address them in the order that they are received. But I want to continue off of your how do you get ranking on page one under 1 minute? Because that was a lot to pack into 1 minute. I want you to kind of take a step back on you said you do CTR models and you actually go into the Search Console. Can you kind of explain more how, like the process of doing this? How can someone like me and everyone else watching like kind of repeat this process to get that value?
Yeah, absolutely. So we will do that, but we will run a series of experiments from that and say like, okay, like either we will run experiments with like a title and a meta description and tweak things a little bit to see whether they've got that value. And within the dashboard, which by the way, we've made open source and it's free because Dan's a very generous, lovely human. So anyone can try this at home.
Okay.
You can be able to set up your own experiments, and as soon as they're implemented, you can put it in, and we'll be able to measure that and see whether or not that has any had any impact on that. So that's very, very useful for us. Another thing is like we will usually like do it with cross channels as well. So we will have like we'll work with the paid media team, and the paid media team will sort of give us an idea, like with their PLAs or with different ad groups of what is actually generating clicks from a paid sense. Big caveat there. It is a little bit of a different game, so it comes with its own context. But again, if you are having an array of queries that you know that are successful, but you're wanting to sort of look and drill down as to like what is the primary one for a page, this is a very good way of like just testing this array out to the masses, and then using that as a modicum for what is generating a click further from that. Additionally, we'll use survey data, again, just to hopefully eliminate any like personal biases, because like having open source surveys, and I'm kind of sad that Google surveys is going away. We will find another way to do this, but having open source questions just around the idea of like how people approach the brands, how people approach certain like ideas, and see what they sort of like will input themselves, and that sort of gives us like another added additional layer to the data. So we do this as like with a sample survey to be able to get a little bit more key insights on this stuff. Further from that, something that I am very excited and very passionate about is, of course, like we are in a in a semantic world with search. And one of the things that I really like, a key blog article that Google put out, I would love to say the date, but right now it's not coming to mind because it's still very early morning for us here in Melbourne. But with search journeys, like Google uses the AI to be able to understand the language that users use when they search. So search journeys that looks at the context and uses that knowledge to show users the content that is most relevant to where they are within that journey. And because of that, like Google then knows like that there can be a variety of things that users are looking for when they type in certain key terms, and they can be able to look at the different stages of that process, because essentially like Google and Bing and a lot of others are becoming semantic search engines. Now with that premise, the thing that I have taken that away is thinking like how we can be able to use this understanding in this. And this is where like marking up and having a really good idea of the entities that you want to be the authority on is a really, really great place to start, and taking it from that position. And then looking at the internal links. Like how are you internally linking this? So I've understood my entity. I'm mapping out, and usually I'll do this in Excel or especially when if I'm having to travel a little bit during the month, or I will do this in Google Sheets and create these silos of ideas, of the topic from what I can be able to understand about that topic based on a series of tools. And from there, like we'll be able to mark up and say like, okay, well for this certain page, these are all the entities that it is known to represent. Does this make sense? Does this not match? And then that's sort of a series of of like little key insights that you can be able to take away and say like, okay, this is a good representation of the greater understanding of this entity that I'm wanting this brand to be known for. So we're going to mark this up. And we're going to add this page, and we're going to we'll add this to the internal links and structure, and we're going to look at the structured data and how those things connect to each other, and start to really lay down like this nice lattice framework to be able to do this. And if we can't get it from a contextual link, then maybe we need to start to look at from a UX perspective, all these other little things that we can be able to do. And that's incredibly useful, especially when you're taking all the queries that win. Again, thinking back to our CTR models of what actually generates clicks, chucking that stuff into Ahrefs or something like that, and it will spit out all of these cert features that you will be that the current queries do get seen for, and that they don't get seen for. And you can look at competitors and how they, and how they compare, and that's really, really good too, because that gives you a benchmark. But maybe there's some really, really key things you can influence with the actual UI UX of that page, and start to build in these ideas, and start to maybe even create and envision an idea of all the things that you're wanting to add and influence. And what I was saying, how do we rank number one? All these ideas are super actionable. They I've done this across multiple different brands, multiple different campaigns, and I know this stuff works. And I'm really excited. In March next year, I've been invited to SMX Munich, and I'm wanting to bring forward a bit of a cache of case studies where I've done this, and this has been the result, and this has been the thing. But the key element under everything is that you have to be a search advocate. You have to be an advocate for these ideas and get the implementation in. Because one of my favorite tweets of all time was from Brighton SEO, which is if you want the success, or the little rabbit has the money bags, then you have to do the technical recommendations.
Yeah.
So that is a really, really important thing.
Love it. There's a lot to unpack there, guys. I didn't want to stop her, but make sure you rewind and be sure to catch all those nuggets in there. So there's a bunch of questions that came in here, but I want to go into the topic which actually was this kind of relates to the topic that I want to get into right away. And one of the first things, Quim asks, hi Nick, when optimizing a new website, what do beginners need to watch out for in terms of technical SEO?
Oh man, there's so many things. Again, I whenever someone is just it's a new brand, it's a new site, it's a new day. A lot of the time, really, really basic things just get missed. They might have sections of the pages. If you've installed Yoast, it will mark up tag pages, mark up archive pages, might mark up categories and things like that. That might not be relevant, or you might never want to build out. So that's a really good place just to be cool. Let's just get rid of those things, because when you actually have a look at those pages, they're little copies, and there's no unique content on that. But they're all indexable, and it's just a little bit of bloat that you really just don't need at all. So you can just go into Yoast within WordPress, because 30% of the web is WordPress. So this is why I'm giving this advice. Go in and just be able to just swipe it off, and it will take it out of the sitemap, and it won't be considered anymore. That's a pretty simple one. It's again, when you're a super small of a site, those things don't generally matter until you really got a huge amounts of volume, because the crawlers are still pretty nice to you. But think of technical SEO almost as like web compliance. You're going through, you're doing all your checks, and you're basically wanting to say is this set up correctly? Does it have all these things? That's kind of the way that I explain it, especially to new brands, or to people who aren't so and they'll tell you they're not technical savvy. They don't know how SEO works, and you already immediately know that a lot of education and handholding is going to be really necessary. Again, to just give them the idea that it's okay not to know absolutely everything. You're the business owner. You already wear multiple hats. You don't actually have to wear a technical SEO hat as well. That's just too much. But you do need to be able to get them on side to be able to understand that when you're building this out, investment in these ideas are incredibly important. How you present your information is incredibly important. Like maybe don't cheap out and just get any old Joe Blow to write the content, because that person might not be the subject matter expert, or maybe they're just indoctrinating like your audience with fluff. Like it doesn't have any value. You look at a web page, and the best way to reverse engineer it, especially if you're a new brand, is, are you proud to be representing this content on your site? Like, does this make you proud to feel like this content is a part of you and your brand and what you represent? Precision, quality, go after that. Like actually answer things that people are looking for. Like don't just kind of like, dribble the answer, like, little bits and pieces all over the page, or even just not at all and just allude to it. If you're not going to allude to it, that's totally fine too. Just let them know. Like we don't offer quotes. We don't offer pricing because we're a quote-based model, and we do this because we want to like hear what your project is and make it custom tailored plan for you. So call us today. I mean, that's compelling. I mean, that means that there's some care. Some people will see that and bounce, but others will be convinced because they see your brand, they see your content, they see like maybe some real photos of you actually excavating a yard, not some stock image, and earn that trust factor. Again, like whenever I see like the helpful content update or any of the algorithmic updates that are here, none of this stuff is new. And I feel very comfortable saying that because I've got a lot of friends who have 20 plus years in the game, as well as yourself with 15 years plus in the game. But really, the goalposts haven't changed.
Yep.
But the algorithms have become a lot more intuitive. That's the only real difference from my perspective. So take these core concepts and just do better.
Love it. Okay. So you gotta touch a few things of second part of this question is like on the actual tools and reports. So I'm curious. I'm like, what tools that do you use? And there's so many like technical tools out there. You could even use Ahrefs, SEMrush, or whatever it is. But there's even some specific to technical SEO. What are some tools that you use for your technical SEO audits?
Okay, I'm really, really big on setting up a framework of monitoring and testing to be able to inform any future decisions. So again, everything for us, like at Dijon, starts off with a CTR model. Okay. Like if we use the concept of like having a new brand that doesn't really have a lot of data, like maybe that's not relevant to you because maybe in 6 months when we have a little bit more, we can be able to build something on that to get an idea of that. But otherwise, everything starts and finishes with Search Console. Because that really tells you where the clicks are and what attribute to what queries, what pages, and it's such a useful tool to tell us how crawlers are interacting with these pages and like how they're perceiving them. Again, you can be able to inspect inside that and be able to see like the HTML, the rendered HTML, and you can be able to see what the screenshot of that page looks like as well. Really, really useful for finding like intrusive interstitials, like little pop-ups that will be decimating the crawler's ability to be able to understand any of the content on there. I love Looker Studio. Oh, it's still so new.
Looker Studio.
Data Studio.
Was it Looker Studio?
Data Studio.
Okay.
Now Looker Studio. That actually happened October. So it's super new. Look, I get it. Google acquired Looker back in 2020, and they wanted to capitalize on that, and they wanted to do a lot more with Looker Studio Pro and build all that stuff out. And that's kind of interesting and exciting because that means that a lot more work will be done within that platform. Gosh knows it needs it. Especially I was trying to build really, really good reporting, pulling a ton of different APIs, and this is applied across thousands of pages, and you sort of be sitting there, in the client meeting just waiting for it to load and fetch all the data, and it's just like, we're just going to make small talk waiting for this. So I like it. But again, I like to use Data Studio to pull in a lot of these things, have like cross data and be able to lattice that in to be able to give some key insights. And just like, how that's been generated and pulling in. We'll use Rank Ranger for keyword tracking. We'll use SEMrush. We'll use Ahrefs. I love Majestic and its link graph tool because this is only in the last 5 months have I been able to play around with it. It's pretty awesome. Yeah. Oh, that guy's so great. I love the team at Majestic. Golly gee. Like I'm not like there's a whole gamut of Chrome extensions, but I'll just maybe shout out like a couple of my favorites. I use this one almost on daily. Like I can't even do shopping without like having a little look over at this one. But Robots Exclusion Checker. It's developed by Sam Gibson. And it is just so awesome. You will be able to see if the URL changes, like if it's like pulled in with a JavaScript redirect. You can be able to see the robots.txt status, meta robot status, X robot status, and the canonical status. A lot of clients will know that I will like generally like do screenshots straight from this Chrome extension and be like, "What are you doing and why?" Not make sense. But if you want to get a little bit more granular, like the OG, and big shout out to Jenny Halaz for showing me this one, the Yima redirect path tool. Absolutely love that one. I love to always just use the right structured data one to see what structured data is in there. I will use I mean SEO Minion is the OG as well. So I'd be remiss not say that one. And just some other ones. Like I've got this like cute little React one that every time like it detects React.js, it just kind of like starts dinging. Like, hello, there's React on this page.
Oh man.
Maybe y'all should know. And then that sort of tells me like, okay, I've got to be a little bit more scrutinizing on the render pathways for this one. So yeah, a whole bunch of tools. But honestly, tools are really great ways to be able to cut down the time. If you have zero money, like I would use, quite honestly, I would just use Google Search Console, Google Analytics. All the Chrome extensions I mentioned are all free because the world is wonderful and open source in learning and sharing is great. And Screaming Frog, it gives you free all the way up to 500 URLs. It is awesome. So yeah, that's
excellent.
Love it. Love it. Okay, let's go ahead and ask some questions from the audience. Stefan here asks, "Hi Nick, how do you structure the content plan and clusters for a service-based business?"
Awesome. Service-based business. I'm thinking that this service-based business might be small. And again, I've got to shout out my good old mates from InLinks. They're really, really great at being able to provide like free for up to like 20 pages. I think it's like 20 pages. And if you're wanting to look at kind of like seeing like what is already been seen for a page as far as like entities are concerned, I feel like InLinks by far from everything that I've tested is the fastest way to be able to do this and do this at scale. So chuck it into InLinks, put in your website, or you can elect to like your top 20 pages, and it's super awesome if you wanted to like have this as a basis for your silos. But it will be able to show you on the right hand pane, if you click down the drop through, you'll be able to show you all the entities that it shows for. And kind of what I was saying before, if it makes sense, cool, you can like click through and you can mark them up and you can start to associate that, and it'll give you some good insights to what structured data and internal links you should use. And so you can start to get some insights about, creating briefs around the content quality if it's not quite all the way up to there. And that will start to give you a really good framework of where to go. And it's free for up to 20 pages. And that's awesome. We love that for them. And we love that for you guys. And I love that for myself too. Other ways is like, honestly, it does become a little bit more involved. like I think like in the real world, most information is unstructured, and it's not necessarily always available like the most intuitively. So think about like your navigation links, think about your contextual links, and be able to have a look at like how you're linking in between things, because you're passing just that little bit of page rank from page to page. And sorry, I'm answering this in a very technical SEO kind of way. Content evaluation and content quality is such a big gamut and a big topic. But again, I try and drill that down to just like simply writing for users, like writing for the customer, you know, have a good insight with the customer success team, what people are asking and where are their pain points, and like what are the things that they're like continually going back, and maybe that's something that's really useful to be able to provide context on those pages, because the more that the website is going to answer those questions, like the more likely that they're going to, again, like, you know, make informed decisions. That's going to be more likely that they're going to go through that conversion funnel and be actually able to convert. Because like, you know, how to structure it, it's what's logical, it's what's practical, what's scalable, and what's really easy to be able to communicate.
Love that. Okay, so hey, Nick, I think your camera froze a bit. Is there a way we can hear you perfectly? But yeah, I think your camera froze. Maybe did you switch off to another? Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
I would love to. All right, I'm gonna see if I can do something with this camera. This camera. Nope. Oh boy. All right. I do have another camera, except it's very, very interesting. Let's see if we're going to be able to tool that. Let's have a quick look. Boom.
While Nick fixes her camera, we'll go ahead and listen to some jams. For all those got some questions, please ask them in the live chat. Hobby, I see a bunch of you. Hobby, you asked a bunch of questions, but I don't think any of them relate to today's topic. So ask a couple more on technical SEO, anything on technical SEO.
All right, I think it might just be internet.
It might be your internet?
I think it might be internet. There's not much I can do about that.
All right, let me see. Let me go ahead and continue here. I'm going to go ahead. We have a still shot of you. There we go. You're on. Wait, there you are. You're back.
Oh, nice.
Love it.
Just a frantic
All
clicks.
right.
Frantic clicks always work.
All right. I want to go into, we have another question from Quim. Let me go ask this question from Quim here. Is it possible to rank ClickFunnels, Groove, Go High Level funnels, and what is your advice on how to rank them? I'm thinking like those ClickFunnels pages.
ClickFunnels.
Are you familiar with ClickFunnels or Groove funnels? Those like landing pages that upsells you all the time.
I know exactly what he's talking about. Look, if you're using like ClickFunnels pages that are like you'll see this with /LP /whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of the time that they will create a optimized landing page, and like they're useful if you're directing like ads to them. Then I don't see them being useful at all, and this is why. If your pages are not like your supposedly commercially valuable pages, your service pages where you're wanting someone to land on and be able to convert, and if that's not working, why create another page that's basically doing exactly the same thing? So either duplicate the content and be able to cannibalize for that, which honestly is just so annoying, or a lot of the time, like the way that they'll build out these pages, it will completely decimate the UX, because from their minds, they're like, oh, okay, like we just want someone to click through this, punch a couple of the buttons, because that's what they've come to this page for. So that's what we're only going to show. And then that is the end of the interaction. They've only got an opportunity to either click back or bounce. what is the point of that? If you're wanting to shop around, or if you want to add more things to, like, you know, this cart, or you want to get a bunch of services or understand a little bit more granularity about the service that they're about to provide, this page offers no resourcing, no links to any of those things. So again, you're cannibalizing your things. Like, a lot of these pages will be indexable, so they will absolutely compete. This one is like decimating your menu and your footer structure and any of the other, you know, helpful little things to be able to toggle between different services or products or whatever it is that you're using this for. And you're you're not able, you know, you're losing a customer after, like, you know, maybe, you know, now you're drawing it down to like a yes or no kind of thing. Like, you know, do they want that thing that they've clicked through to, or is that not really quite the right thing? They're not able to refine their search. They've got to either click back to where they came from, probably from Google search, or maybe from anywhere else, because it's really hard to also find these pages natively. I've just got, like, unless they embed it into the menu structure, again, like, I don't like them. I think that's the crux of it. I don't like them. I don't see them working, and I just see them hindering the process. And I see people trying to, like, you know, do this shortcut kind of method that honestly, at the end of the day, does nothing but, like, you know, really hurt the longevity of your site. Build better pages. If you're going to spend, like, these services aren't cheap. Like, if you're going to, like, put all this energy and effort to that, learn what's happening with those pages, write better content, you know, work with a UX designer, and actually make sure that that page is the most beneficial for you, because that page, and don't change the URL structure, that page for you is the most important page to be able to, like, look after and curate and have for the longer term. Because that's the one that is going to tell all of your customers all the great things that you do, and all the service that you provide, and all of the attributes around that service. And if they really like you, they're going to want to add more things to their cart. So don't decimate your opportunity to do that.
Love it. Okay. There we go. All right, we're coming close to time here, and I want to make sure I can kind of throw this one in here, but I want you to talk a little bit about semantically driven site architecture, because I know you spoke about this a bit, and I want you to kind of explain here and give a kind of a overview for our listeners here on semantically driven site architecture. What is this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this sort of came about from an idea. Essentially, again, if we're taking up, you know, like, understanding, like, siloing our entities and looking at the internal links and having it structured data. So we've got the unstructured and structured data there. And then we're looking at the UX of how all these things, all this information is being presented to users. We've got a really good idea of a whole framework. Now, a lot of the time, like, when a lot of my friends, like, think about the semantic web, it's all content. And, you know, content's great, content's fine. But I kind of wanted to tool this back and think about, like, okay, well, like, with your categories, your subcategory, and your products pages, what if you were to be able to use this same understanding, the same siloing, and create these topical maps around your product arrays? Honestly, in the real world, most of the time, the information is often unstructured, and maybe it might be available in all different silos to be able to find this. And you'll know whether this is happening with your site or your client site with, like, you know, you search for a product, and that product will exist in multiple different places, or it will also be, you know, siloed under, like, an other tab. I think the other tab is, like, just the side effect to manual architecture of inputting products, inputting tags, and kind of like, you know, winging it through, like, you know, like, creating this moment. I think if you understand the mechanisms of semantic search, we can really leverage the tools that already exist out there to use machine learning techniques to make sense of that content, to create that context. So when it comes to building sites, like often the questions come from like how to structure sites for what is both logical, practical, scalable, and what's really easy to communicate. I think when this, like, the entity is ambiguously described by identifying particular characteristics, attributes, or its properties, whilst the identifier, the URI, consists of a sequence of the numbers, which is used by machines to understand the entity that humans recognize as, like, according to those characteristics. So in SEO, we use URLs to help give the search engine semantic understanding through the site architecture. And we also, we have some evidence that, like, including keywords in the URLs can help, but honestly, don't change your URL structure just to, like, fit in some more keywords, because I really like sometimes, like, the way that even, like, Barry Schwartz says it, like, I haven't changed my URL structure since the inception, and his URLs are completely, non-recognizable. But it works for him. And he's a topical authority because of the decades of work that he's put into, his craft. So I'm like, with this, I think if you're taking it from this step and this perspective, if you've got an opportunity to be able to build out new pages, or you're doing query research on this, and you want to, like, add faceted pages, you really need a methodology of, like, what opportunities already lie in there. So having a look at already the entity and finding any gaps in there, like what you're not actually ranking for whatsoever. And then being able to say, like, okay, cool, like, these queries, like, we're not even ranking for, or we are, but we don't have any dedicated pages for that. And you can use Search Console to be able to find these really, really easily, or you can use, third-party tools to be able to get there. The reason why I keep saying Search Console over maybe, like, third-party tools is because, like, I don't really trust keyword volume. It's useful in a new and emerging markets, like if you really don't have any like innate data to be able to reference. But again, I keep saying to you guys, to the audience, like, what motivates a click? I've seen queries that have maybe 10 searches per month, like, have, like, thousands of impressions and clicks. And I'm thinking, like, thousands of impressions, like, like, this is only a short amount of time. Like, this does not reflect the tools. Like, in some cases, like, I was looking at a query that had like hundreds of thousands of impressions, and the search volume was something like 30 searches per month. It just didn't make sense why a third-party tool was saying that, like, oh yeah, this is the visibility of this. Someone coming at this from a completely, like, third-party tool-based mentality will look at this and say, like, oh, that query isn't as important as, say, like, this one with a larger search volume, and like, we'll look at the competition and we'll use that to sort of, think about how to do our keyword research and to do our topical planning and, do our content outlays. Nah, bro. Search Console, man, like, it's Search already console. Telling you how what is actually motivating clicks, what is actually like happening with the user interactions. There's so much information on there. If you start from there and work backwards, it can give you a lot of really, really great ideas. So taking all these things, this is where I've really thought about, like, okay, we've got all these things, we can be able to start to look at what is currently existing and either generate new content, do some content pruning on this, do some content optimization on this, and start to do this based on, like, our mapping of what the entities that you want to become an authority of. And really, it is as simple as that. You just have a priority list and say, like, okay, these are the things that the client has communicated generates us the most money, so we'll hammer those in first. But everything else is starting to be a slow work away. And then again, if you're already having your framework of reporting and monitoring to be able to inform any future key decisions, you just go back, you refine, you retool this, and you start to learn a lot more about what is successful and start to confirm your hypothesis. That's really the crux of it, and it's so much fun.
love it. Okay, we're out of time here, and I want to go ahead and ask this last question that I ask all my SEO professionals to come on here. And, like, if someone wants to get to the SEO industry, become an SEO professional themselves, what's your one piece of advice to them?
Oh man, if you are curious, and if you yeah, if if you are curious, this is really the recipe to any success, I think, in any industry. Asking questions, trying things out for yourself, starting to illuminate, advice that's given on the web that's sort of like, yeah, cool, like this is a great idea, but does it work? Making friends, swapping ideas, swapping war stories, like having that support. If you are really just like looking at your whole career, not as like, oh, okay, like, this is going to get me this amount of prestige, this role, this title, like these sort of things. If you were just really obsessed with like learning the craft of SEO a lot more, like SEO gives back to you so much with so much wonderful experience. It's a very inelegant way of just saying like, just experiment, test, ask questions, and if you can't work smart, work hard, and vice versa.
Love it. Okay, if anyone wants to get a hold of you, how can someone get a hold of you? Whether it's email, online, social network.
Perfect. Yes, I'm on Twitter at Nick Ranger SEO. I'm on LinkedIn, like with the same name, obviously, or Dijon Marketing, or come along to SEO Collective, like on the first Tuesday of every month. Reach out to me. Sometimes like I won't be the quickest responder, but I will respond to you eventually. So say hello and let's hang out.
Love it. Love it. Everyone give Nick a round of applause. Thank you so much. Can you hold on for one quick second while I sign off here? Hold on real quick.
Of course.
All right, guys, that concludes another episode of the SEO Video Show. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And I will see you next week. Peace out.
Thank you for watching. Hope you come back next week. Make sure to subscribe. You don't want to miss a thing. Hope you learn something new, cause the vibe is incredible. From the special SEO professionals, SEO video show. Let's work. Want to see you be an SEO expert. Paul-Andre De Vera helping you step it up. No delay right now. Time to level up. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe.